In this video, we are going to be fishing 1 mile right off the beach for a monster fish. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. We start our morning making a 5-mile run north to set up over some structure near the beach. Once we get to this spot, as you guys can see, we're right off the beach here. So we start rigging up our baits, and all we had here was a sea witch. So we rigged it up with our bonita strip, and we start letting out these lines. Once we let out these lines, it did not take long for us to get that hit by this monster fish. So we were trolling for about 45 minutes this morning, and then we just saw a rod pop, and that's when we knew we were hooked up to a nice sized fish. So I jumped on this rod and I started to fight this fish. And in the beginning of this fight, you guys will notice that we keep the boat moving at a very high speed here. And the reason we do this is because we want to keep as much tension as possible on this fish. If you stop the boat here and you just fight the fish, you're giving the fish a way of just pulling off the hook or possibly cutting through your line. So we continued to fight this fish, and as you guys can see, we're about 1 mile right off the beach. This is the best perk about South Florida. You don't need to go far offshore to catch giant fish. So as we continued to fight this fish, we now got this fish a lot closer to the boat. So we were now about 15 to 20 minutes into this fight. And the reason this fight took us so long is because on this day, we were trolling multiple lines. And almost on every trip, we troll multiple lines to up our odds of catching more fish. And this fish that we hit here, hit our furthest line back. And when they hit the further line back and then they spool some line on top of it, it takes an extremely long time to just bring these fish and get them near the boat. And on this fish, we were using a planer. And what a planer does when you're trolling is it takes your bait down deep. So rather than just trolling top lines, the planers allow you to put your bait a lot deeper than normal and put it more in that strike zone for those wahoos, tunas, and kingfish. So we now got this planer about 100 feet right behind the boat. And if you guys can drop a like on this video and hit that sub button, we would really appreciate that. So this planer is now right behind the boat. And how we have this planer rigged here is we have it attached to a bridle system. And the reason we do this is because we're able to disconnect this now and continue to fight this fish rather than handline. So I come up to this planer here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it from my line. So we have these two swivels tied up, and we're just going to quickly disconnect it and continue to fight this fish. So this fish is now 100 feet from that planer now, right behind the boat. So I continue to fight this fish and keep as much tension as possible on this fish to make sure we're able to successfully land this fish. So my dad grabbed this gaff and he angled the boat to where we could have the best possible position of landing this fish. So we turned the boat a little right here, and I continued fighting this fish. And usually when you troll this close to the beach, you're usually targeting those fish that normally sit on the wrecks. So those kingfish, those wahoo, are really your main target species when you're dragging these planers through these shallower wrecks. This fish continued to fight as I reeled it in, and that's the reason we kept the boat moving. We still have not stopped the boat, and we usually never stop the boat when we're trolling, because we want to keep as much tension as possible, especially when the fish is right behind the boat. This is the fish's best shot of pulling off or cutting through your line, so you definitely want to keep the boat moving and you want to reel as fast as possible to make sure you're able to land these fish. So this fish is now right in our prop wash. As you guys can see, we saw this fish and it looked like a really nice sized fish here. So he ran off to the left side here and he dove right under the boat. It did not look too good, but once he made this turn to the right, we were able to get a good shot here with the gaff. So my dad gaffed this fish. He was able to put this fish in the boat and we landed this nice sized kingfish. We hope you guys enjoyed this Barjacks video, and we'll see you guys in the next Barjacks family fishing video.